Ancient mysteries hold a strange power to quiet the restless mind. Tonight we explore the world's greatest enigmas, not simply to solve them, but to use their profound weight and wonder as a direct path to deep, restorative sleep. You will gain a powerful new tool for silencing daily stress and achieving consistent, peaceful rest. We will drift through the silent gaze of the Sphinx and descend into a city lost beneath the sea for 1,000 years. What forgotten secret from the past most captivates your imagination right now? That silent, stony gaze has watched the desert for thousands of years. The Great Sphinx of Giza rests in the sand, a colossal lion with a human head, its features worn smooth by endless desert winds. But one feature is conspicuously absent, a detail that pulls us deeper into its mystery. Its nose is gone. The story often told involves a cannonball fired by Napoleon's soldiers, a dramatic act of vandalism. Yet older accounts from long before Napoleon's arrival describe the Sphinx already without its nose, its face eroded by time itself. This small, missing piece opens a door to a far grander puzzle, one that challenges everything we think we know about this ancient sentinel. The conventional history places its creation around 2,500 years before the Common Era, built by the pharaoh Khafre to guard his pyramid. But look at the stone. The body of the Sphinx shows deep, vertical fissures, patterns of weathering caused not by wind and sand, but by thousands of years of heavy, relentless rain. The last time such rains fell consistently on the Giza Plateau was over 7,000 years ago, in a much wetter climatic era. This suggests the Sphinx could be far, far older than the pyramids it seems to guard, a relic from a forgotten age staring out across the millennia. Picture yourself there now, under a deep velvet sky scattered with countless stars. The air is cool, the immense silence of the desert a physical presence. You feel the fine, cool sand beneath you and the profound stillness of the massive stone creature before you. Its hypnotic, unchanging gaze becomes a focal point, a steady anchor for a wandering mind. All the day's noise, all its worries, seem to shrink to insignificance against this timeless monument. Simply rest your eyes upon its form and let the weight of its ancient mystery lull you into a state of deep, peaceful calm. That same desert sand eventually meets the sea, and beneath those gentle waves lies a mystery even more complete in its silence. For over 1,000 years, the grand port city of Thonis-Heracleion slept on the seabed, its very existence fading into legend. This was not a small settlement, but a bustling, wealthy gateway to Egypt, a city of grand temples and sprawling plazas, suddenly swallowed by the Mediterranean. Its rediscovery was not a matter of chance, but a decades-long, painstaking pursuit through murky water and deep silt. Archaeologists, working with a gentle touch to avoid disturbing the fragile site, uncovered a world frozen in time. They found colossal statues of pharaohs, their stern faces gazing up through the water, and the ruins of a massive temple dedicated to the god Ammon. They recovered delicate gold coins, tiny religious offerings, and the stone slabs that once recorded the laws of the land, all preserved by the very mud that had entombed them. Now let that image fill your mind. You are floating weightlessly in the deep, tranquil blue. Sunlight filters down from the surface in soft, shimmering columns. There is no sound here except the quiet rhythm of your own breathing. Below you, the outlines of a forgotten city emerge from the silt. A stone column covered in soft marine growth tilts gently to one side. A school of silver fish drifts past, their slow dance undisturbed for centuries. This is a world of profound peace, a silent, slow-motion ballet over the ruins of a lost civilization. All the urgency of the modern world feels impossibly distant, replaced by the gentle, constant pressure of the deep. Your own worries begin to seem as small and as light as those gold coins, settling softly back into the sand, leaving you in a state of serene, weightless calm. From the silent depths of the sea, we travel now to the wide, open skies of the English countryside. the Salisbury Plain holds its own mystery, a circle of towering stones that has captivated humanity for millennia. This is Stonehenge, a monument whose silence speaks volumes. Its construction remains an almost unbelievable feat. The largest of these sarsen stones weigh more than 25 tons each, dragged across the land from quarries many miles away. But the true marvel lies with the smaller bluestones, transported over 140 miles from the Preseli Hills in Wales. How did ancient people move these massive rocks across such a vast and difficult distance without the wheel or modern machinery? This labor alone, spanning generations, hints at a purpose of profound importance. Was it an ancient astronomical computer, its pillars aligned with the solstice sun to mark the turning of the years? Or was it a sacred place of healing where the unique composition of the bluestones was believed to hold curative powers? The true answer is lost to time, leaving only the stones themselves as witnesses. Feel the cool, damp air of the plain against your skin. Notice the soft, green moss clinging to the ancient, weathered surfaces of the megaliths. Some researchers suggest that such massive stone circles can generate a deep, resonant hum, a natural low-frequency sound inaudible to the human ear yet felt in the body as a vibration. This subtle resonance can slow brain waves, easing tension and inviting a state of deep tranquility. As you contemplate the silent questions these giants hold, let that imagined hum become a lullaby. All the frantic energy of the modern world feels distant here, replaced by the enduring patience of stone and earth. Your own thoughts can settle as slowly and deliberately as those blue stones were placed, until all that remains is a quiet, steady calm. While Stonehenge stands as a silent question in stone, another mystery hides within the fragile pages of a book. Deep within the vault of Yale University's library rests the Voynich Manuscript, a code that has broken every expert who has tried to read it. This small volume, dating to the 15th century, is written entirely in a language that does not exist. Its alphabet is a collection of elegant, curling characters that form no known words. The pages are filled with illustrations of plants that have never grown on Earth, their roots and leaves bizarrely alien. Intricate charts map celestial bodies in configurations that do not match our night sky, and drawings of tiny, naked women bathe in a system of green, interconnected pipes. For centuries, the world's finest cryptographers, from wartime codebreakers to modern supercomputers, have applied every possible method to crack its cipher. They have all failed completely. The text resists every form of analysis, its patterns just coherent enough to suggest a real language, yet forever remaining just out of reach. This is not a puzzle to be solved, but a lullaby of the incomprehensible. Let the pages turn in your mind. See the flow of those unknown symbols, not as a message to be understood, but as a gentle, meaningless patter. Each strange character is a wave washing over a cognitive shore, smoothing out the sharp edges of your own thoughts. The bizarre plants and star charts are not problems for your waking mind to wrestle with. They are simply shapes, patterns of ink that carry no weight of expectation or demand for interpretation. Allow the entire, beautiful, unsolvable mystery to become a soft, thought-diffusing backdrop. Your own internal monologue, the list of tasks and worries, can gently unravel against this tapestry of pure enigma. There is no answer to find here, only the profound peace of releasing the need to find one at all. High on the arid plains of Peru, the earth itself holds drawings too vast for any single person to ever see. These are the Nazca Lines, enormous geoglyphs etched into the desert floor over 2,000 years ago. Creatures like a hummingbird with wings outstretched, a sprawling spider, and a curious monkey with a coiled tail are all rendered on a scale so immense they only become clear from high above. The method of their creation seems deceptively simple. The dark, sun-baked surface stones were removed, revealing the lighter, contrasting soil beneath. This single, continuous line technique created figures that have endured for millennia. yet the simplicity of the method only deepens the central mystery. Why create such magnificent art for a perspective that no human of that era could ever achieve? Some theories suggest they were celestial pathways aligned with stars and constellations used for astronomical rituals. Others propose they were sacred routes for religious processions, a form of walking prayer visible to the gods in the sky. The true purpose remains as elusive as the view was to their creators. Picture yourself not on the ground but floating peacefully above it all. The desert air is perfectly still and silent, a vast expanse of tranquility. From this vantage point, your own concerns begin to seem as small and distant as the lines below. A lone condor circles on a thermal current, its flight a slow, graceful arc across the endless blue. Its shadow drifts silently over the hummingbird's giant outline, connecting the ancient art with the timeless rhythm of the natural world. There is no need to solve the mystery, only to rest within its quiet grandeur. Let your mind expand to match the scale of the drawings, feeling your personal worries shrink in comparison, until all that remains is the slow, sweeping flight of the condor and the profound, enduring silence of the desert. That same ancient sea which hid a city also preserved a secret more intricate than any statue. In the quiet deep near the island of Antikythera, a shipwreck yielded a lump of corroded bronze and wood that would rewrite history. This was the Antikythera Mechanism, a device of breathtaking complexity from a time we thought knew only simple machines. Through painstaking analysis, researchers found within that calcified block a precise clockwork universe. Dozens of interlocking bronze gears, some with teeth cut with microscopic accuracy, turned together within a wooden case. Its dials and pointers did not tell the hour, but charted the positions of the sun and moon, predicted eclipses decades in advance, and even modeled the irregular wanderings of the known planets against the fixed stars. It was an analog computer, a portable cosmos engineered 2,000 years ago. This was not magic, but a profound understanding of celestial rhythm made physical. Each gear turn was a translation of mathematical harmony into gentle mechanical motion. Now, hear that rhythm in your mind. It is not a loud, frantic ticking, but the soft, inevitable sound of a perfectly balanced system at work. A steady, metallic pulse that mirrors the predictable orbits of heavenly bodies, a cosmic clockwork that never rushes and never delays. Let that imagined sound become the tempo for your own body. Sync your breathing to its patient, rhythmic certainty. Feel your own heart rate begin to slow and steady itself, matching the calm, eternal dance of the planets this device so beautifully mapped. All the chaos of the day finds no purchase against such perfect, predictable order. You are not fighting for calm, but simply falling into a rhythm that has governed the heavens since time began, guided by the quiet, ticking heart of an ancient wonder. Across the ocean, a different kind of silence fell over a small settlement carved from the American wilderness. In the late 16th century, a group of over 100 English men, women, and children established the Roanoke colony on an island off the coast of what is now North Carolina. Their governor, John White, sailed back to England for desperately needed supplies. His return was delayed for years by war. When he finally made it back to Roanoke, he found the settlement utterly deserted. The houses were dismantled in an orderly fashion, not destroyed. There were no signs of a struggle, no graves, and no people. The only clue was a single word carved into a fort post, Croatoan, and another, crow, carved into a tree. An entire community had simply vanished into the forest. Theories have swirled for centuries. Did they starve or fall to disease? Were they attacked? The most compelling possibility is one of integration. Croatoan was the name of a nearby island and the tribe that lived there. The carvings were likely a message telling White where they had gone. Perhaps they simply walked away from their struggling colony and were peacefully absorbed into the local communities, their English identity slowly fading over generations. This mystery embodies a profound surrender to the unknown. They left a single word as a signpost and then let the wilderness and time erase their trail. We face our own unknown every night when we close our eyes. Sleep is a journey into a personal wilderness, a place where our conscious mind must surrender its control. Fighting that uncertainty only leads to more restless nights. The story of Roanoke invites you to do what those settlers may have done, to let go of the need for answers and simply trust the process. Release the day's struggles as they released their colony. Carve your own single, simple intention for rest, and then allow yourself to disappear peacefully into the welcoming dark. Deep beneath the earth in central China, an emperor sleeps guarded by an army of clay. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first man to unite the warring states into a single nation, is protected by one of history's most astonishing creations. In 1974, farmers digging a well struck not water but the head of a buried soldier. This accidental discovery revealed a sprawling subterranean complex, a city of the dead built to mirror the emperor's palace and kingdom above. The scale is almost beyond comprehension. 3 vast pits contain an estimated 8,000 soldiers, each one life-sized and meticulously crafted from terracotta. They are not generic statues, but individual men. Every single face is different, with unique expressions, hairstyles, and even ears. There are archers and infantrymen, charioteers and cavalry, all arranged in precise military formation, a silent, disciplined legion waiting for a command that will never come. The sheer weight of this organized silence is a physical presence. Picture the cool, still air of the underground vault, undisturbed for over 2 millennia. Your own breath seems to slow to match the quiet. You stand before row upon row of these calm, unblinking figures, their painted details faded but their purpose undimmed by time. There is no chaos here, only perfect, patient order. The army's formation is a visual lullaby of control, a stark contrast to the scattered thoughts of a busy mind. Your own internal noise, the jumble of daily anxieties and to-do lists, begins to feel out of place in this realm of perfect stillness. Each soldier's unique face is a reminder that you too are an individual, but here, in their collective presence, the pressure to perform or to be anything at all simply melts away. You are not required to act, only to exist as peacefully as they do. The profound tranquility of this eternal watch begins to settle over you, a blanket of quiet certainty that invites your own consciousness to stand down, to rest at its post just as these clay sentinels have done for centuries. Those silent, subterranean legions guard a single emperor, but far out in the vast emptiness of the Pacific Ocean, an entire civilization raised an army of stone giants to watch over their entire world. Easter Island, one of the most isolated places on Earth, is home to the Moai. Nearly 900 of these colossal figures stand or lie scattered across the island, their elongated faces and heavy brows carved from compressed volcanic ash. The largest of them stands over 30 feet tall and weighs more than 80 tons. The central mystery has always been one of movement. How did the Rapa Nui people, with only stone tools and human strength, transport these multi-ton monoliths from the inland quarry where they were carved to ceremonial platforms along the coast, sometimes miles away? The island holds no evidence of wheels or large animals to assist them. For a long time, the prevailing theory was one of grim collapse, that a society obsessed with statue building deforested their island, leading to warfare, starvation, and their own destruction. But a more compelling idea has emerged, one of remarkable ingenuity. Researchers now believe the Rapa Nui may have literally walked the statues to their posts. By using sturdy ropes to rock a moai from side to side, teams could maneuver the giant forward in a slow, controlled, upright shuffle. Picture this monumental effort not as an act of reckless folly, but as a coordinated dance of community and faith. Now feel the isolation of this place. A constant, cool ocean wind sweeps across the grassy hills, carrying the distant, rhythmic crash of waves against volcanic cliffs. The Moai were placed with their backs to this immense sea, their stoic, peaceful faces turned forever inward, watching over the villages and the people. They were not gods, but representations of revered ancestors, their presence a source of mana or spiritual power, a force of stability and protection. Their silent gaze across the land offered a profound sense of grounded order. As you contemplate these giants, let that feeling of being watched over settle upon you. Your own mind, so often turned outward to the chaos of the world, can now turn inward, finding its own center. The steady wind becomes a breath, clearing away mental clutter. The rhythmic sound of the ocean is a timeless pulse, slowing your heart. There is no need to move mountains tonight. You can simply rest, anchored and stable, under the peaceful gaze of these ancient sentinels, feeling as rooted to the earth as the stone they are made from. A quiet hum of ancient ingenuity lies within a simple clay pot. In the ruins of a Parthian village near Baghdad, a most peculiar artifact was unearthed. It consists of a terracotta jar, inside of which sits a copper cylinder, and within that, an iron rod. The jar itself shows signs of having been sealed with an asphalt or bitumen plug, which would have insulated the two metals from each other. If this vessel was filled with an acidic liquid like vinegar or wine, it would have created a chemical reaction. The acid would act as an electrolyte, allowing a small electrical current to flow between the copper and the iron, producing a little over 1 volt of electricity. This is the essence of a basic galvanic cell, a battery. It dates to roughly 2,000 years ago, a time we never believed such knowledge existed. The debate over its purpose is as fascinating as the object itself. Some archaeologists propose a practical use, suggesting these cells could have been used for electroplating, to deposit a thin layer of gold or silver onto other metal objects. A single cell produces only a tiny charge, but several linked together could have accomplished this subtle alchemy. Others argue for a more mystical application. That small, constant current applied to the skin could have produced a strange, tingling sensation. Perhaps it was used by priests in religious ceremonies to create a tangible, mysterious energy, a literal spark of the divine meant to inspire awe in worshippers. Now focus on that potential. Think not of a blinding bolt of lightning, but of the gentlest possible hum. A low, steady, vibrational energy, so quiet it exists more as a feeling than a sound. It is a soft, ambient frequency, the kind that can drown out the incessant chatter of a busy mind. Your own thoughts are like static, a jumble of competing signals. But this ancient potential current offers a different frequency, a single, unwavering tone. Let it become the baseline for your consciousness tonight. All the noise and worry can simply fade into the background, overwhelmed by this persistent, gentle thrum. There is no need to solve the mystery of whether it powered a craftsman's workshop or a temple ritual. You need only borrow its imagined energy, letting that soft, electrical whisper neutralize every distracting thought until your mind is as clear and calm as the still surface of a pool. Thousands of ancient stones march across the Breton landscape in silent, orderly rows. This is the field of Karnak, a sprawling arrangement of over 3,000 megaliths erected over 6,000 years ago. The stones stand in long, parallel alignments, some towering overhead, others knee-high, stretching for miles like a petrified army on parade. Their purpose is as enigmatic as their scale. Were they a colossal astronomical calendar, their rows precisely oriented to capture the solstice sun or track the moon cycles? Or were they a sacred temple, a pathway for ritual processions where the very act of walking between the stones brought one closer to the divine? Local legend offers a more dramatic tale, whispering that these are the remains of a Roman legion, turned to stone by a Christian saint to protect the people from their march. But the stones are far older than Rome, their true story lost to the deep past. Let the cool, misty air of a Brittany morning settle around you. A soft fog clings to the ground, blurring the lines between the stones and muting the world. You walk slowly along one of these ancient avenues, the even spacing of the granite sentinels creating a gentle, rhythmic pulse for the eye. There is no need to solve the puzzle of their origin. Simply follow the line, allowing the repetition of form and the deep silence of the place to guide your thoughts. Each stone is a steady beat in a visual lullaby, a pathway that leads not to a destination but to a state of quiet emptiness. The mist absorbs all sound until the only rhythm left is your own breath and the soft, patient presence of the stones, inviting every racing thought to slow its pace and finally fall into step with their timeless, grounded order. Among the fragile parchment of the Dead Sea Scrolls, one document stands utterly apart. Crafted from beaten copper, its message is not spiritual wisdom but a stark, factual inventory of unimaginable wealth. It lists 64 hiding places for a fortune in gold and silver, meticulously detailing tons of precious metal and priceless religious artifacts, a treasure so vast it could have bankrolled an empire. For decades, fortune hunters and archaeologists alike have followed its cryptic directions, digging at specific landmarks and measurements described in the text. They have found nothing but empty holes and frustration. The treasure has never been recovered. Some believe it was plundered long ago, perhaps by the Romans who sacked Jerusalem. Others suggest the directions were never meant to be taken literally, but were instead a symbolic record of a temple's sacred holdings. The most compelling possibility is that the instructions were simply too vague, the landscape too changed over 2,000 years, rendering the map useless. The copper scroll is a map to nowhere, a promise of a prize that remains forever out of reach. There is a profound comfort in this perpetual loss. The frantic energy of the search, the desperate need to find and possess, is met only with the enduring silence of the earth. All that striving leads to a quiet emptiness. This is the final lesson of the ancient mysteries, a gentle instruction for the restless mind. Just as this treasure was meant to stay hidden, some questions in our own lives are meant to remain unanswered. The pursuit of absolute certainty, the need to solve every puzzle before we can rest, is a quest as futile as digging for that lost gold. Sleep asks the same of us. It requires a surrender, a willing release of the day's unresolved problems and lingering anxieties. The copper scroll teaches us to lay down the map, to stop searching, and to find peace not in possession but in the act of letting go. Allow the idea of that undisturbed, eternal treasure to settle your thoughts. Your own unresolved questions can also remain buried for the night, safe and untouched as you drift into the deep, welcoming dark where nothing needs to be found. Scattered across the high plateaus of Laos, thousands of stone jars lie tumbled amidst the tall grass. This is the Plain of Jars, a megalithic landscape whose mystery begins with its sheer, silent presence. Carved from solid sandstone and granite, some of these vessels stand as tall as a person and weigh several tons, their origins dating back 2,000 years. Their purpose is as debated as their method of construction. The most enduring theory suggests they served as giant funeral urns, holding the bodies or the cremated remains of the dead, their heavy stone lids sealing the departed for their journey. Another idea proposes they were used for fermenting or storing vast quantities of food and drink, perhaps for massive communal celebrations. Yet the truth remains locked within the stone, a secret kept by the people who carved them, a culture that left no written records behind. This ancient enigma is overlaid with a more recent, somber history. During the conflict of the 1960s and 70s, this region became one of the most heavily bombed places on Earth. To this day, the land remains seeded with unexploded ordnance, a hidden danger that makes the simple act of walking among the jars a carefully managed undertaking. This juxtaposition is profound, a place of ancient peaceful rest now guarded by the lethal remnants of modern conflict. There is a powerful metaphor here for the mind seeking sleep. Your own thoughts can sometimes feel like this landscape, scattered with the unexploded anxieties of the day, each one a potential disturbance if you tread too heavily upon it. The solution is not to fight through the field, but to emulate the jars themselves. They do not resist the grass that grows around them or the weather that smooths their edges. They are simply vessels open to the sky and empty of their original contents. Picture yourself under the immense star-filled sky of the plateau. A cool, gentle breeze moves through the grass, creating a soft, whispering sound. Each of those stone jars is an invitation to pour out a single worry, to let a racing thought settle into silence and become as inert as the ancient stone. One by one, you can empty your mind, leaving each concern behind in a vessel too heavy to carry into the night. The vastness of the sky above absorbs the noise, and the quiet patience of the scattered jars reminds you that some burdens are not meant to be held forever. Let them go and feel the profound lightness of a mind finally at rest, open and empty under the endless, tranquil dark. A single sheet of gazelle skin parchment holds a chart of the world that defies its own time. Drawn in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis, this map is a beautiful enigma. It accurately depicts coastlines of Europe, Africa, and the Americas with a clarity that was rare for its era. But its most baffling feature lies at the southern edge, a landmass that seems to show the coastline of Antarctica. The problem is profound. The frozen continent would not be officially discovered for another 300 years. Even more startling, this southern land is depicted not under its present-day mile-thick ice cap, but with topographic details of the continent's actual underlying coastline, a shape that has been hidden for millennia. How could a 16th-century cartographer have known this? The admiral himself wrote that he compiled his chart from many source maps, some of them dating back to the libraries of ancient Alexandria. This has led to a compelling and controversial theory. Perhaps the Piri Reis map is a copy of a copy, a relic from a much older, seafaring civilization with knowledge of the entire globe. A culture whose achievements were lost to the deep past, leaving only these ghostly contours on a piece of parchment. Imagine the slow, deliberate stroke of a quill, guided by a hand trying to translate ancient and half-understood charts. This was not an act of scientific precision, but one of artistic interpretation and wonder. The gentle scratch of the nib, the careful application of colored inks, the patient creation of a world far wider and stranger than anyone suspected. There is a deep calm in this creative act, a quiet focus that stands in stark contrast to the rigid, demanding maps of our own daily lives. We all carry internal charts, strict schedules, and unforgiving to-do lists that dictate every hour. The Piri Reis map invites you to set those rigid plans aside. Let your mind wander off the edge of your own known world. Trace the outline of a forgotten coastline in your thoughts, a place of pure potential where the rules of your day no longer apply. The mystery is not a problem to be solved, but a spaciousness to be explored. As you consider that ancient, impossible coastline, feel the weight of your own obligations and expectations begin to soften and recede, like an ice age slowly giving way, revealing the quiet, uncharted territory of a deeply peaceful mind. These walls are a testament to a different kind of power, one of quiet, unshakable stability. High above the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, the fortress of Sacsayhuaman presents a puzzle carved in stone. Its defensive walls are assembled from colossal limestone blocks, some weighing over 100 tons, each one a unique, irregular polygon. They fit together with a precision that defies logic, interlocking so perfectly that the seams between them are virtually invisible. For centuries, the construction method has been a source of awe and debate. Without iron tools, the wheel, or even a written language, how did the Inca stonemasons achieve such an immaculate fit? The conventional explanation involves patient, relentless labor. They likely used harder stones to pound and shape the blocks, grinding the surfaces together with sand and water until the contact was flawless. Yet another theory suggests a profound understanding of the material itself, a technique where the stones were softened using a plant-based solvent, allowing them to be molded and pressed into place before hardening again into their final, unyielding form. Whatever the method, the result is an architecture without weakness, a structure designed to withstand both seismic tremors and the relentless passage of time. Rest your hand against the cool, sun-warmed surface of one of these giant stones. Feel its solid, unmoving mass, a physical anchor in a world of constant change. The sheer perfection of the fit offers a visual and tactile harmony that soothes the mind. There are no jagged edges here, no unstable foundations, only this profound and seamless integration. This is the very essence of security, a symbol of permanence that stands in silent defiance of all your fleeting worries and shifting anxieties. Your own fears begin to feel small and temporary against such enduring strength. Let the image of these perfectly joined stones become a mental fortress for your mind. Each irregular block represents a concern from your day, and as they slot into place within this greater, stable structure, they lose their power to disturb you. There is no room for a razor blade of doubt or a sliver of stress to penetrate this calm. You are safe within this thought, surrounded by the cool, solid, and immovable certainty of stone, a feeling deep enough to build the foundations of a peaceful night's rest upon. The same stones that build fortresses can also guard the deepest of silences. In the early 20th century, the vast and unmapped Amazon rainforest held a siren's call for a man named Percy Fawcett. A seasoned explorer and surveyor for the Royal Geographical Society, Fawcett became consumed by a theory. He believed that hidden within the green, trackless expanse was the remnants of a sophisticated, ancient civilization, a place he cryptically called the Lost City of Z. His conviction was not mere fantasy. During his many mapping expeditions, he had encountered strange, unexplained ruins and heard persistent indigenous tales of a lost city of stone. He pieced together clues from forgotten documents and his own observations, forming a map in his mind that led to a place no modern European had ever seen. This was not a search for gold, but for proof of a grand historical truth, a discovery that would rewrite the history of the Americas. The rainforest itself became his obsession, a living puzzle he felt destined to solve. Can you hear the first layer of its sound, a constant, gentle cacophony of life, a chorus of insects and birds that forms a thick, sonic blanket absorbing all other noise? That dense, living sound is the first door to a deeper quiet. In 1925, Fawcett embarked on his final expedition into the Mato Grosso region, taking with him only his eldest son, Jack, and Jack's friend, Raleigh Rymel. He deliberately traveled light, believing a small, nimble party could succeed where a large, cumbersome one would fail. He was famously resistant to the diseases that felled other explorers, and he held a deep, if complicated, respect for the indigenous peoples, often navigating by their guidance. His last known communication was a letter dispatched back to his wife. In it, he expressed high hopes, writing that they were ready to penetrate the final, unexplored territory. Then the three men simply walked into the jungle and vanished. The immense, consuming green closed behind them, leaving no trace. The silence that followed was absolute. That is the second layer of the rainforest sound, the one that comes when you stop moving and simply listen. The constant hum of life begins to recede from the foreground, no longer a wall of noise but a soft, distant orchestra. Your own breathing becomes the most prominent sound, a slow and steady rhythm in the immense leafy cathedral. In the decades that followed, over 100 expeditions mounted search parties, desperate to find the famous explorer or evidence of his city. Many of these rescuers themselves disappeared or perished, swallowed by the same unforgiving wilderness. A handful returned with tantalizing clues, a nameplate from Fawcett's trunk, or stories from tribes who spoke of 3 white men who had been killed long ago. Yet no definitive proof of his fate or his city was ever found. The mystery only deepened, becoming a cautionary tale about the limits of human knowledge and the sheer, overwhelming power of the wild. This is the final layer of the rainforest silence, the profound acceptance of the unknown. The search itself becomes a form of noise, a frantic scrambling for answers. But the jungle does not give up its secrets, it only offers its presence. Let that presence envelop you now. There is no need to search for anything tonight. There is no puzzle to solve, no destination to reach. You are simply here, surrounded by the gentle, living breath of the trees. The distant call of a bird is not a signal to be interpreted, but a note in a lullaby. The rustle of leaves is not a threat, but a soft exhalation. Percy Fawcett sought a lost city, but the true treasure of the Amazon is this: the deep, enveloping quiet where all modern noise disappears, and the mind at last has nowhere to go but down into a state of deep, dreamless rest. That same rainforest silence is a recent phenomenon compared to the deep, resonant quiet of a Turkish hilltop. Göbekli Tepe is a collection of stone circles so ancient it forces us to rewrite the entire story of human civilization. This site is not just older than Stonehenge, it predates the Great Pyramids of Giza by a staggering 6,000 years. Its construction began around 9,600 years before the Common Era, a time when humanity was believed to be living in small, nomadic bands of hunter-gatherers concerned only with day-to-day survival. Yet here, on this windswept plateau, these same people carved and erected a monumental complex. They quarried and shaped massive limestone pillars, some weighing over 10 tons, and arranged them into great stone circles. Each central pillar is a towering T-shape, an abstract human form with carved arms and hands resting on its stone belly. These silent figures are covered in a menagerie of finely carved animals: foxes, snakes, wild boars, and soaring birds, a frozen bestiary from a lost world. This was not a village or a settlement. There is no evidence of anyone having lived here. It was a purely ritual space, a temple, built by people who had not yet invented pottery, writing, or farming. The entire conventional narrative of history tells us that agriculture came first, allowing for surplus food, which then gave people the leisure time to build monuments and develop complex society. Göbekli Tepe turns that idea on its head. It suggests that the human impulse to gather for something beyond mere survival, the drive to create art and architecture for a spiritual purpose, may have been the very catalyst that sparked the agricultural revolution. The need to feed the hundreds of people building this sacred place may have been the reason they first started to domesticate wheat and tend to herds. Feel the weight of that timeline. All of recorded history, from the pharaohs to the present day, occupies a mere sliver at the very end of a vast chronological scale. Your own life, with all its urgent concerns and pressing deadlines, is a single, fleeting moment within that sliver. The people who carved these pillars looked up at the same constellations we see tonight, but in a sky untouched by any light but the moon and stars. They felt the same wind, and they wrestled with stones that would outlast their names, their tribes, and every empire that would follow. The anxieties that feel so large and immediate to you now are, in the grand sweep of this deep time, as transient as a single season of grass on that Turkish hill. The stones do not care for your daily worries. They simply stand as they have for 12,000 years. Their patient, animal-covered faces a testament to a truth far more enduring than any modern stress. Let that perspective settle over you. Your own mind can release its tight grip on today's troubles, allowing them to shrink back to their true size, small and quiet against the immense, quiet backdrop of human time. A ship adrift tells a story without words, a puzzle written on the open sea. In December 1872, the British brigantine Dei Gratia spotted another vessel, the Mary Celeste, sailing erratically but otherwise perfectly seaworthy off the coast of Portugal. When the crew of the Dei Gratia approached and eventually boarded, they found the ship utterly abandoned. The captain, his wife, their young daughter, and the entire crew of 7 were simply gone, vanished without a trace. The mystery was not one of destruction, but of preservation. The Mary Celeste was in excellent condition, its cargo of industrial alcohol still secure in its barrels. A 6-month supply of food and water remained in the stores. The crew's personal belongings were untouched, and a single lifeboat was missing. There was no sign of a struggle, no evidence of fire or leak, and no logbook entry to explain the sudden, collective decision to leave a sound ship for a small, open boat on the vast Atlantic. The most plausible theory suggests a volatile cargo. Perhaps fumes from the alcohol leaked and built up in the hold, causing the captain to fear an imminent, catastrophic explosion. He may have ordered everyone into the lifeboat as a temporary precaution, tethered to the Celeste by a line. If that line snapped, the ship would have sailed on without them, leaving the occupants of the small boat to the mercy of the sea. Another idea points to a natural phenomenon, a waterspout touching down near the ship. This could have created a sudden, terrifying noise and violent rocking, convincing everyone that the vessel was sinking, prompting a panicked and ultimately fatal evacuation. Yet none of these explanations feel entirely complete. Why would an experienced captain abandon a perfectly good ship for a perceived, non-immediate threat, especially with his family on board? The sea was calm that day, the weather recorded as fine. The true reason is lost to the ocean's silence. Now let that image hold you. A beautiful, fully provisioned ship, its white sails catching a gentle breeze, its decks empty. It rocks softly on a calm, blue expanse, a cradle on the waves. There is no one at the helm, no one to give orders. The vessel has surrendered completely to the currents and the wind, moving with a peaceful, aimless grace. This is the ultimate release from control. Your own mind is like the captain of a ship, constantly plotting a course, fighting the weather, and fearing every shift in the wind. The story of the Mary Celeste invites you to do what its crew perhaps did, to step away from the wheel. You are not abandoning your responsibilities. You are simply trusting that the vessel of your consciousness can drift peacefully on its own for a while. Let the gentle, rhythmic rocking of that empty ship become a sensation in your body. All the frantic commands you give yourself, all the need to steer and manage every thought can be set adrift tonight. There is no destination to reach, only the deep, calming peace of a ship surrendered to the sea. Those silent stones of the Mediterranean and the Pacific find a powerful echo deep in southern Africa. The ruins of Great Zimbabwe rise from a high plateau, a city of stone built entirely without mortar. Its walls, some over 30 feet high, curve and weave in elegant patterns, their granite blocks fitting together with such precision that they have stood for more than 700 years. This was the heart of a kingdom, a center of political and economic power that dominated the region from the 11th to the 15th centuries. Its wealth was legendary, flowing from a vast trade network that stretched to the coasts of the Indian Ocean. Within these walls, merchants traded gold, ivory, and copper for fine Chinese celadon pottery, colorful glass beads from India, and other luxuries from a world they knew was far larger than their own. The architecture itself is a marvel of sophistication. The most iconic structure is the great enclosure with its towering, curved outer wall and a mysterious, solid stone tower at its center. The purpose of this space remains a subject of debate, but its scale and complexity speak of a highly organized society with skilled artisans and a powerful ruling class. The very existence of this city, however, was once a mystery that the colonial mind refused to solve. When European explorers first encountered these ruins in the late 19th century, they could not, or would not, believe that the local African people were capable of such a feat. They invented fanciful origins, attributing the city to the Queen of Sheba, or to Phoenician traders, or to Arab settlers, anyone but the ancestors of the people who lived there. This refusal was a quiet, stubborn violence, an attempt to steal a civilization's legacy. It took decades of archaeological evidence and the eventual independence of the nation of Zimbabwe to firmly re-establish the truth that this was an indigenous African achievement of the highest order. Now feel the warm, smooth stone under your hand, heated by the long afternoon sun. Look at the intricate chevron and herringbone patterns woven into the walls, a visual rhythm that is both strong and calming. There is a profound dignity in these silent stones, a quiet resilience that outlasted not just the elements, but also the attempts to erase their meaning. The city's true name is lost, but its presence is a testament to endurance. All the noise of modern prejudice, all the frantic need to claim and categorize, falls away against this patient, unmoving truth. The wind whispers through the empty passages, carrying the scent of dry grass and dust. High above, a lone raptor circles in the vast, clear sky. There is no need to defend this place anymore. It simply is. Let that same unshakable certainty settle into your own spirit. Your own struggles for recognition, your own battles to be understood, can find a moment of rest here. The stones do not need to shout to prove their worth, and neither do you. In their enduring, silent presence, there is a deep and final calm. That same human impulse to find meaning in stone and artifact extends to a piece of linen, a cloth that holds perhaps the most debated image in the world. The Shroud of Turin is a long, narrow strip of fabric, and upon its surface is the faint, straw-colored imprint of a man who appears to have suffered crucifixion. The wounds are all there, the marks of scourging, the piercing in the side, the punctures around the head consistent with a crown of thorns. For millions of the faithful, this is not a mere representation, but the actual burial shroud of Jesus of Nazareth, a divine relic that captured his image at the moment of resurrection. The cloth itself has a documented history tracing back to the 1300s in France, yet its journey before that is lost in the mists of legend. Then, in the late 1980s, science delivered a verdict that seemed to settle the matter. 3 independent laboratories were permitted to take tiny samples from a corner of the shroud for radiocarbon dating. The results converged on a date range between 1260 and 1390, placing its origin firmly in the Middle Ages. For many, this was conclusive proof that the shroud was a medieval forgery. But the mystery refused to die. Researchers questioned the samples, suggesting they might have been from a later repair. Contaminated by a fire, the shroud survived in the 1500s. The debate only intensified because the central question remained unanswered. If it is a forgery, how was the image created? The faint, superficial stain resides only on the very topmost fibers of the thread. No pigments, no paints, no dyes have ever been found. It possesses a 3-dimensional quality that no known artistic technique from that period could replicate. The image is a perfect photographic negative, a property only understood centuries after the cloth first appeared. Science cannot yet fully explain its making. Now, look at that image not with the eyes of a detective, but with the soft focus of someone ready to rest. Let your vision go slightly blurry, allowing the faint lines of the figure to soften and blend into the background of the linen. The details that scholars argue over, the precise wounds, the bloodstains, the weave of the cloth, all of it can melt into a single, gentle, golden hue. This is not about proving or disproving anything. It is about embracing the profound comfort of the unresolved. The shroud is a perfect metaphor for the mind at the threshold of sleep, a place where sharp edges fade and certainty gives way to a soft, welcoming ambiguity. Your own need for definitive answers about tomorrow, for clear solutions to today's problems, can be released here. The true power of this ancient cloth may not lie in its authenticity, but in its ability to teach us how to hold a mystery, to simply let it be, and in that gentle surrender find a deep and lasting peace. A perfect skull carved from a single block of clear quartz crystal seems to hold a galaxy within its depths. These objects first emerged in the late 19th century, promoted by antique dealers who claimed they were ancient Mesoamerican relics, artifacts from lost civilizations like the Maya or the Aztecs. The legend grew, suggesting that a set of 13 such skulls, when reunited, would reveal profound secrets about humanity's past and future. They were said to possess strange powers, to glow with an inner light, or to reveal hidden images when light passed through them. The allure was irresistible, a tangible piece of a magical, forgotten world. Yet the truth, meticulously uncovered by modern science, is far less mystical. Microscopic analysis reveals tool marks that could only have been made by modern, rotary wheel engravers, technology unavailable to pre-Columbian cultures. The quartz itself was traced to sources in Brazil and Madagascar, not the Americas. The crystal skulls are, for the most part, beautiful and intricate fakes, manufactured in European workshops during the 1800s to feed a growing fascination with the exotic and the occult. So why does their legend endure so powerfully, even after the facts have been laid bare? It speaks to a deep human longing for objects of wonder. We are drawn to artifacts that seem to bridge our mundane world with something older, wiser, and more mysterious. A genuine ancient pot tells a historical story, but a crystal skull promises a magical one. It offers a connection to a past that feels more profound and more enchanted than the one in our history books. This desire for mystical touchstones is itself a kind of ancient mystery. Now, let that very quality of the crystal guide you toward rest. Picture not a mysterious artifact, but the raw material itself. A piece of perfectly clear, cool quartz. Its surface is flawlessly smooth, its interior utterly transparent, containing nothing but pure, empty space. It does not seek to hold a secret or project a prophecy. It simply is. This is the blank slate your mind needs. All the accumulated clutter of the day, the swirling thoughts and unresolved conversations can be poured into this crystal vessel. Watch as they lose their sharp edges and emotional weight, becoming as harmless and neutral as light passing through glass. The skull was a fiction, but the clarity it represents is profoundly real. Let the cool, smooth sensation of that imagined crystal empty your mind, creating a perfect, silent space for sleep to fill. A legendary oasis of tiered gardens, lush with greenery and vibrant flowers, is said to have risen above the dusty plains of ancient Babylon. The Hanging Gardens are celebrated as one of the seven wonders, a marvel of engineering and beauty supposedly built by a king for a homesick queen who longed for the forested mountains of her homeland. Yet for all its fame, this wonder presents us with a beautiful emptiness. No physical trace of the gardens has ever been found in the ruins of Babylon. No Babylonian texts mention them. The most vivid descriptions come from later Greek historians who may never have even set foot there, painting a picture of an impossible, dreamlike paradise. This creates a fascinating tension between the power of a story and the silence of the earth. Did these gardens ever truly exist, or were they always a magnificent fantasy, an ideal of a perfect, tranquil refuge? The descriptions are irresistibly soothing. They speak of a massive, ascending structure of vaulted terraces, built not just with soil, but with deep layers of reeds, bitumen, and lead sheeting to protect the brickwork from the constant moisture. A complex irrigation system, likely involving a screw pump powered by slaves turning a wheel, would have drawn water from the Euphrates River all the way to the highest garden level. From there, it would have cascaded gently downward, a network of streams and waterfalls cooling the air and nourishing the roots of towering trees, fragrant herbs, and exotic blossoms. The very concept is a balm for the soul. You can almost feel the shift from the dry, baking heat of the Mesopotamian sun into the shaded, humid microclimate of the gardens. The air would be thick with the rich scent of damp earth and blooming flowers. The dominant sound is not the wind or the distant city, but the constant, gentle music of trickling water, a liquid murmur from 100 different sources. This is a scene designed not for grand spectacle alone, but for profound sensory peace, a deliberate escape from the harshness of the desert world outside. So whether the Hanging Gardens were a physical place or a collective dream, their legacy offers a potent tool for rest. The mind does not need archaeological proof to be transported. The idea itself is a vessel. You can step into that shaded green tier right now. Feel the cool mist from a nearby waterfall on your skin. Hear the soft, percussive drip of water from one leaf to another. See the dappled sunlight filtering through a canopy of broad green leaves. This is the essence of a manufactured paradise, a testament to the human desire to create pockets of perfect calm. Let the lush, impossible beauty of this ancient mystery become your own inner sanctuary, a private, verdant retreat where every worry evaporates into the soothing sound of falling water. A different kind of treasure hunt has consumed generations on a small island off the coast of Nova Scotia. Since the 1790s, the story of Oak Island's money pit has lured fortune seekers with a promise of immense wealth lying just out of reach. It began when a group of teenagers noticed a peculiar depression in the ground and a ship's pulley hanging from a tree above it, signs they believed pointed to buried pirate treasure. Their initial digging revealed a shaft with platforms of oak logs every 10 feet, a complex construction that only deepened the mystery, but as they dug deeper, the pit fought back. At around 90 feet, their tools struck a large, flat stone inscribed with strange symbols, and then disaster. The shaft suddenly flooded with seawater, a booby trap ingeniously engineered through a series of flood tunnels connected to the ocean. For over 200 years, this cycle has repeated itself. New expeditions with better technology, more money, and renewed hope have taken up the chase. They have drilled and dug, encountering layers of charcoal, putty, and even a tiny scrap of parchment, but always the water rushes in. The treasure, if it ever existed, remains stubbornly hidden. Theories about its origin are as varied as the diggers themselves. Some say it is the lost loot of Captain Kidd or the hidden treasury of the Knights Templar. Others propose it holds the original manuscripts of Shakespeare or even the holy relics of a lost church. The evidence for any single theory is flimsy, built more on hope than fact. This endless cyclical digging is a powerful metaphor for the struggle with sleep. You lie in the dark, trying to force your mind into stillness, digging for that elusive state of unconsciousness. Each new technique is like a new drill bit, a different method to breach the final barrier. But the more you actively dig for sleep, the more you trigger your own mental flood tunnels. Anxiety floods the shaft, washing away any progress, leaving you exhausted and farther from your goal than when you started. The history of Oak Island teaches a gentle but firm lesson. After centuries of effort and millions of dollars spent, the island has given up nothing but mystery. The true treasure may not be in the finding, but in the release of the search itself. Just as the most successful approach to the money pit might be to finally stop digging, the surest path to deep rest is to surrender the effort. Stop trying to command your mind to sleep. Let go of the shovel, allow the tide of fatigue to rise naturally, and simply float on its surface, trusting that rest will find you when you're no longer fighting to find it. And so we reach the end of our path, a journey that began with the Sphinx's silent gaze and has carried us across continents and millennia. These ancient mysteries are more than just puzzles from a forgotten world. They are powerful, natural tools for quieting the modern mind. Their true value lies not in a solution we might one day find, but in the profound sense of perspective they offer us right now. The unanswered questions, the silent stones, and the lost cities are not problems for you to solve tonight. They are anchors steadying your thoughts against the fleeting turbulence of the present. When you feel the weight of a daily worry, remember the immense, patient bulk of the Great Pyramid, which has weathered thousands of years of desert storms. When your mind races with a dozen different tasks, recall the slow, deliberate shuffle of the Moai, moved into place one careful rock at a time. These stories remind us that our own lives, with all their urgent demands, are but a single, brief moment in a vast and enduring human story. There is a deep comfort in that scale, a permission to release the need for immediate answers and perfect control. So as you prepare to sleep, do not try to unravel these enigmas. Simply let their grandeur and their silence wash over you. Allow the cool stone of Sacsayhuaman to be your foundation, the gentle hum of the Baghdad battery your calming frequency, and the empty, drifting deck of the merry, celestial invitation to let go of the wheel. Thank you for resting with the sleep historian. We would love to hear which of these mysteries helped you find your calm. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe for more nightly journeys into the past, and may your nights be as peaceful as these ancient ruins.